You're listening to 90.8 Hills FM Radio.
This is 90.8 Hills FM radio station, using our voice to rate your choice. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone out there, something interesting and different to encourage and inspire us. Today I have Miss Lanu Tzudir, the creator of the doodle comics series called The Midget in Instagram. Hi Lanu.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for coming here. We appreciate that you had to come all the way from Kohima to come here to share your stories with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege.
So, apart from your identity as the midget, is there anything that you want the listeners to know about you, who you are, what you do, what you are, or just anything?
Yeah, sure. My name is Lanu, and as the midget is self-explanatory, I'm short with a very questionable sense of humor. I draw comics, and I also have a full-time job, and I juggle both together. Yeah.
Oh wow! Could you tell us about your educational background?
Yeah, sure. So I did my schooling from Kohima, Little Flower Higher Secondary School, after which I did my bachelor's and my master's from the University of Delhi in English literature.
Oh.
And after that, I came back and worked in an NGO in Nagaland. And I'm moving to another place for a new work.
Oh wow, that sounds really interesting. So you did mention that you have a degree in literature.
Right.
Yeah. So has literature impacted your art making?
Yes, definitely. I mean, since I studied in Kohima, growing up, I was a very timid child. If you ask people or my old classmates, no one would really remember me except, I'm short and I was in Red House, so that's how people remember me. So it was like that. So growing up, I did not have much exposure to other things, or thinking critically. I would just learn what was taught in school. I would come back and memorize answers or things like that. So studying literature has helped me so much to view the society critically, I think, which is a very important component in my storytelling and in the way I make doodles as well. So definitely it has impacted a huge part of my doodling, storytelling, and in my just general overview of life as well.
All right. So that is one part of your inspiration in doodle making. So growing up, I know you mentioned that you have a job apart from, your comic making.
Yeah.
But did you ever think that you would end up, making comics? I'm sure the inspiration also comes from growing up, reading all those comics, yeah? So, how did you eventually, start doodling?
Yeah, so growing up, I grew up watching a lot of anime and reading manga, comics, and also what got me into reading. I was a very voracious reader as a child, so what got me into reading was Tinkle comics.
Right.
Yeah, so I would flip through Tinkles, and slowly, those Tinkle reading and reading all those comics evolved into reading novels and all those. So growing up with all those, and especially in college and masters, when I was doing my masters in university, I was really into these short comics because like for manga, it's like it becomes like a series which you have to follow monthly, weekly, right? But then I found I came across all these short comics like Cyanide and Happiness and webtoons, and especially because of Facebook also, when I started using Facebook, I followed a lot of these artists who would make 4-panel or sometimes just 2-3 panel comics, and they would be at the last panel, they would have something funny or humorous, or it's funny but at the same time a comment on society or things like that. So these things really got me into comics, and I would scribble and doodle at the back of my notebooks when taking lectures, notes and things like that in college and also in university. So, and I would make small personalized doodles and all for my friends for their birthdays and all. So, but that was just something that I did for fun, and I also never imagined that, I would really end up doodling and doing this as a profession as well for myself. Yeah, it's unimaginable actually. Yeah.
Right. I know it is. So, how did you eventually start, juggling between doodling and when you had a job, because I think as a passion and taking it up as a
Right.
career, it needs a lot of
True.
time, or forget about a lot of time, it needs your full time, right?
Right,
So how has things been since you took this up as a full time,
Mm-hmm.
as a career wise?
So the funny thing is, I started this during when the COVID lockdown happened in
during the
2020. Yeah,
pandemic.
so a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's a COVID passion," because we saw that COVID. There was a boom in small bakery. I
Yes,
mean
yes,
bakers
yes.
and
Right,
things like
right.
that. Lots of small businesses grew up. So a lot of people think and assume that oh, it's a COVID thing that happened. But actually,
COVID hobby.
yeah, COVID hobby. So it was actually not like that as well. When I left I worked in an NGO here in Nagaland, where I learned so much, and I thought, I for some personal reasons I had to take a short break for myself. I thought I would develop. So during that time, I really, it was always my passion to make, not always my passion, but I thought I would start something doodling. And so that was 2019 when
Right.
but then one thing that really stopped me was I'm not very good when it comes to drawing. Like when I compare my work to other people's cartoonists or other artists and all, like they draw with such fine details and all those things. So those I would feel inferior, and I would be like, who would want to read, like stick figures and all. But then one of my inspiration was also Cyanide and Happiness, which they also do the same kind of doodles, but yeah. So I was like, so one thing I told myself was, okay, content is key.
Right,
If you have the content, like
Right.
you can sell your work to people to read, to see, and all. So during the 2020 lockdown, when it happened, everyone was stuck at home, and then the lockdown was so strict, we could not go out. So my siblings really encouraged me and gave me the push, and that's how I started scribbling. I would draw on a piece of paper with a pencil first, then I would go on top of it with draw over it with a marker, then I would scan the comics, then I would edit them, and I would post them on Instagram. So that's how the journey started.
I think you would agree with me when I said that you've been receiving a lot of love through, this Instagram page. Yeah.
Right.
So I think people or the elders at home, I think it took time for them to process that you are taking this as a career.
Right, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? What is your say on that?
Yeah, so first when I started, I was like so bold and, with all these dreams and aspirations to make it big. And, so I told my parents also that I would like to do this full time and all. So it took them, initially they were very not they were not unsupportive, they were supportive, but then they did not understand. Yes, so they're like, what will this do? Drawing the whole day, what will you do? Like that. So it was difficult at first, initially when I started. It's still difficult. It's yeah. So I thought I would do this full time, and I would, but then I realized that for me, skill wise, as well as reaching a bigger audience, it would take time, because I'm starting from scratch. So I thought, like, to support myself, I would need to work as well, financially also to support myself. So I for the first 2 years, 2020 and 21, I freelanced. I did, small projects here and there with people, personalized things. I released my own, Midget merchandise as well, in the forms of cards, tote bags, and calendars and things like that. But then I realized that there's so much that I need to learn. That it would take a long process for me to get to that point where, just the Midget alone would be able to support me. So that's how, support a livelihood for myself. So yeah, that's how it took me 2 years to realize. But then, so working full time and also doing this, it's not an easy thing. But then, it's something that I want to keep alive. And in the future, if I want to do this full time in the future as well, but in the time being, I'm juggling both together.
So when you started your Midget, I mean, I'm a follower, so I can relate to every of your posts, because you did a lot on LFS, yeah, and just our average Naga child, living in Kohima, living with our neighbors.
Right.
But I could relate because I'm from LFS and I grew up in Kohima. But I just wanted to ask, like, how do you think that a wider audience would be related to that if they are not from that particular school, from that particular environment, of a childhood?
Yeah, so since it's like a passion, like I make content, I draw and make all these stories depending on what my experiences. It's like very subjective. So of course when I make but just one thing, that when I first made that LFS post, it resonated with so many people,
Yes,
and that was during
it kind of brought all of us together.
Yeah. So it was like a boom for my page as well.
right.
Yeah, but then I have also actually thought of that, that people from Kohima, if I just make comics about Kohima or elephants or things like that, it would not resonate with everyone,
Yes,
because
yes,
obviously
exactly.
not everyone is from that place. So even though I try to strike a balance where I make comics where some are really subjective experiences, which would resonate with maybe a group of people or a community or like that. But then I also try to make comics where a lot of more people will also, general comics on maybe Nagaland, or I just make comics on things like that. So just hoping that it would balance out the audience, the reach.
Right. Yeah, wow. I really wanted to personally know that. Yeah, so thank you. So in the process of doodling and making a content, what do you enjoy most?
It's funny because sometimes the whole process, it's the thing that I enjoy the most is like when an idea strikes me and I find it funny, I laugh alone. So that's people will find it weird, but then I'm like, oh my god, I thought of that, and then I would laugh alone. But just drawing out the whole the entire process, sometimes it's very taxing, though it looks very simple, and it's very simple as well. But then I have no sort of background in art or proportions, and I'm not like a naturally born artist with inborn talents to draw and understand something. But then just the entire the idea striking part, it's like the most fun part for me. And then so that's, I don't know if that can be considered as a process of the comic making, but that's that part I really enjoy.
I can relate to you. Sometimes when we make contents to interview people, a question strikes you and you're suddenly enjoying that question without even before asking that to the person. So with everything that we do, there is a message that we want to convey to people. So how do you think your work comment on social social issues? Let me not use the other word.
All right, so sometimes I actually have some really bold content, but then I stop myself from posting it, because sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe this will be too controversial. People will not be able to take it. But then slowly I've been sort of trying to, because I thought, I made one post on how newspapers these days give less news, and more ads and felicitations and acknowledgements, and so it's like we are pay. Of course, all newspapers need ad for revenues, and also that was one idea I had since the beginning. Like when I started the Midget, I'm like, okay, one day I will post this. But then I thought, how will people think, or how will it be received, and all. But then. But I ended up posting it, and it resonated with a lot of people, and people also messaged me, DM'd me, and saying this is true. Things like this needs to be spoken about, and things like that. So hopefully, like, even though it's just small comics, I hope that it can make an impact in some way.
Right. So having mentioned that making an impact, you said you wrote about that newspaper thing, and so social causes like that, social contents like that. Do you think in any way, if you have written something, if you have presented an art on a certain social cause, do you think there has been an impact on that particular social cause because of your content?
I don't know if it has, but then not since you're asking specifically about social content, I don't know, because I have made some comics on those as well, but I don't know if it has really it has resonated with people, but then
Right.
impact wise or action wise, I don't know if it has happened. But on a personal level, a lot of people just DM me saying that they enjoyed a lot, and then when they have some students, they like say that when they have a tough day or something, they come back to my comics and read, and it really brightens their day. So so I think those are not social causes, but on a personal level, I'm just happy to know that I'm making an impact in some way in their lives.
Wow, that's so lovely to know. So, making, be it a part-time career or a full-time, I think we're always on the lookout for opportunities, basically because we need financial support, to support ourselves and our family, So, how do you seek out opportunities? In this career of, doodle making, how do you seek out for opportunities, and what are the opportunities that you get?
Yeah, so like being an introvert, I'm very timid. So one thing I learned after I started the Midget, because I had to do a lot of selling, as in terms of cards, and being someone who is very shy, and I feel very self-conscious to sell my products and promote my products and all. And one thing I've learned is business is all about connections, not connections in a bad way, but knowing people, knowing a lot of people, networking, right? So which I'm really terrible at, So initially when I had all these dreams that I will sell my car, all these cars, and I'll make it big and all. But then reality is not like that. I struggled so much to sell my merch as well initially, and then. So in terms of opportunities for me, since I can't speak for other artists how they do it, but it has mostly been people coming and approaching me. I have not actively. I don't actively seek out for clients and all, except other than selling my products, selling my merchandise to people. In terms of commissions, people come for personal commissions, for other commissions and all. So it has just been people coming to me for work, but I have not actively really, in terms of the Midget, I have not like opportunities I have not like...
Right. So when you started this, content making, I'm sure you did not, think of, doing all this merchandise. I'm not sure if you did.
No, I always had the plan.
Oh, okay.
This. Yeah, but
I mean, So I think, but on a Naga perspective, per se, like comics or animation and all this, we don't see that white market as of now. Entrepreneurs are booming out, and young artists, and people are so passionate about these things. But I don't know about others, because I am not a vivid lover of art and comics, but just for me to think that somebody's making a living out of of just scribbling and writing down context, so there are a lot of young people who are also interested in all this, and people are going to professional schools, taking up professional courses, so as the market as it is right now, based on your experience, what do you have to say to them about this, about merchandise, or just maybe a social media platform of their own, or
So all it takes is the courage to start. It sounds very cliche, and I also hate when people give me very cliche answers, but then it is what it is, because for me it also, like, all it took was to start, I didn't have any equipments, as in, I didn't know how to draw digitally, or I didn't have a digital, equipment to draw. So all it took was for me to start. So that's what it is. And then I had this thing called last year, when around September and all, I was just thinking about 2022 to kinya ho na, and I was just thinking of all this, and then I had this very existential crisis, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life, sort of that question, because I was like, I turned 30 this year. So last year when I was like, oh my god, I'm turning 30, this is not where I wanted to be, and so many things came to me, and I was just thinking of all this, and I was having this really existential crisis and thinking of all these things. And then I thought like, but then if I look back, there's so many things that I learned, So one thing that I really want, and whenever I meet young people, I always tell them that a lot of people talk about this, but then it took me so much time to realize that government job is not everything, So as long as our fixation is only on government jobs, we will not give our 100% on the other things that we do. So that is one thing that I realized, I was counting down and I wrote down 30 things that I learned as I turned 30, and then it has always been in my draft. I don't know when I will be posting it on my Instagram page, or I'll be sharing it with other people, but then like very personal learnings that I've had. So, and one of them was, government job is not everything. So even me, I also grew up with that same mindset. So it's always been, government job. So I also sat down for exams. I gave NET exams and I sat down for NPSC exams and all. And then one thing, as I look back, I realized that there are like thousands of people giving exams every year now. So unless you give your 200 or 300%, you are not going to make it. So you're just wasting your time. Why not build on some skills or some learnings, or do something in the meanwhile, get certificates or work somewhere? Because outside of government sector, all that employers ask is whether you have experience. Like nothing else matters. If you have the educational qualification, like all they ask for is experience. What we can do, what skill sets do you bring to this job? So unless that mindset is not set, young people don't do away with that mindset, the government job is everything, artists will also not bloom. Because once I started the Midget, and then I started checking out all these young people, artists, who do art and all. So there's so many talented people making art, doing art, drawing, doing commissions and all. But then at the same time, these people are also giving exams, sitting, pressure, peer pressure, family pressure, whatever it is. So it's like that. So unless we do away with that notion, and stick to our passion and talents and things that we can give people and society, I feel that just taking the first leap and trusting the process, I think that will do a lot of good in terms of telling people just to encourage them. It's all it takes is to start. It's a lot of struggles. I've also had my ups and downs. It's been almost sort of like 3 years. It's going to be 3 years, and in the small span of 3 years, I have had my ups and downs. I would get so depressed or sad, thinking that okay, maybe my art is not doing well. But then we all have our highs and lows, no? So that is a process of learning. And then if I look back, like I always make a point to go back to my first doodle that I posted. And if you check out my Instagram page and see, like the first doodle is like very bad, but then I'm still really proud because it is that doodle that took me to start, that to take that plunge. So all it takes is to start, and then things will slowly, just if you persevere and work, it will slowly fall into place.
Yeah. So you did mention about NPSC exams and all those sort of exams. So just coming back to you, if you had made it through the exams, so do you still think you would be doing art?
No, I don't think so. Maybe just for time pass, I would have done it. But if I had gone, if I had passed my exams, I don't think I would have taken this path.
So I think for people like me who is a fan of your work, I think it's a blessing that you did not get through the exams. Otherwise we would have missed out a very interesting and so basic but very relatable content. Every time your content comes up, it's like I can relate to each and every content of yours. And in a way I'm very lucky because I think basically growing up in Kohima and in the same school, just being able to relate to every content is it's such a joy. I would say it's such a joy. So so thank you for coming and just sharing your experiences, your joy and your stories as you you did mention that you are moving somewhere else for. Yeah, I hope your content will still be.
Yeah, surely. Definitely. I look forward to new experiences in other places, and hopefully that will give birth to a lot of more comics.
Right, yeah. So thank you so much again. Yeah, we wish you the best, and yeah, we are looking forward to more extended version of your contents. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
You're listening to 90.8 Hills FM Radio.
This is 90.8 Hills FM radio station, using our voice to rate your choice. Stay tuned.